I am I'm sitting together with Harvey Kwiyani, and Harvey is teaching in Liverpool, teaching missiology, and we're doing an interview around Harvey as an African immigrant and a scholar, the understanding of the meaning of place for us as Christians in the West. But before we begin that, Harvey, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? You're an immigrant, you're in the UK, but you actually spent a lot of time in the US. So talk a little bit about your journey and how you ended up at the university there in Liverpool.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Harvey Kwiyani. I come from Malawi. I worked in mission in Europe and North America for the past 16, 17 years, spending the first 3 years in Germany, 4 years in the UK, and almost 7 years in the US, and then came back to the UK. I came from Malawi around 2000, at a time when Malawi was experiencing a huge revival. People converting to Christianity by their thousands every day. And found myself in St. Gallen, North Switzerland. And it was the opposite. It was almost felt like Christianity didn't exist at all. And that provoked me to begin to think, how do we do a missiology that connects with Western people? How do we talk about missions? How do we talk about God's mission among Westerners in a way that Westerners understand? And that led me to come to Britain, do a master's in missions, and then move to Minnesota, do a PhD in missions. And then I came back to work and teach, at first in Oxford with Church Mission Society, and now at Liverpool Hope University, where I am sort of working with and taking over from Andrew Wars in his World Christianity, World Missiology Studies. Mm-hmm. So that's my journey.
Yeah. And you've been in Liverpool now about 5 months?
Just 5 months, just starting.
Yeah.
Also good. I'm enjoying it.
And your family, how are your family adjusting to all those moves?
Well, they're settling in well. Our older girl, who is 4 years old, 4 and probably 3 months, beginning to pick up the Liverpool accent. To the concern of my wife, who is not necessarily about that. But yeah, it's getting into a new place, getting to know people, getting to know the land, making connections with whatever is happening here. And so far it's been good. It's been a good experience.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So that's part of what we want to talk about today. The theme we're looking at right now in our journal is the meaning of place. Mm-hmm. Christian life, particularly here in the West. And some of us who were born in the West, often majority white folk, have some conflicting values around place anymore. There's a sense in which it's where we belong, it's where we are, but there's also a growing sense that place, a particular geography, is less and less important given the social media, technological, globalized world in which we live.
Yes.
So one of the challenging questions is, what is the meaning of place, of being located, of dwelling in a place for Christian life and witness in the West? And to talk to that as someone who is not from that West, but is an immigrant into it.
So on the one hand, I'm an African, and processing these questions and these issues as an African, first thing that comes to mind is, how do we as Africans think about place? Mm-hmm. How do we think about our location? Now, how do we think about what God is doing in our geographical location? Now, growing up in Malawi, at a time when Malawian Christianity was exploding, one of the things that really made that possible was the fact that I use the phrase the evangelisthood of all saints.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, taking it from the priesthood of all saints.
Mm-hmm.
And that evangelisthood of all saints, all believers are involved in mission and evangelism, but that is rooted in place. So wherever you are called to engage in God's mission, evangelizing people around you.
Mm-hmm.
The mission is the primary core, and the geography, the location, is where you are located now, but you could be moved to another city next week.
Mm.
Whether you move or not, wherever you move to, you continue to be an evangelist. You continue to be somebody who shares the good news of the mission of God. So for us growing up Christians in Africa, place becomes where God has placed you. Mostly, most of the people will say for a purpose. Mm-hmm. So Esther 4:14 is a verse that we talk about a lot. That God has placed you there for a season as this. And so the bigger core is in mission. You are involved in God's mission, but that God's mission is. But your geographical location is responding to that mission. Mm-hmm. That wherever you go, you are placed for such a time as this. That you continue to share the good news. You continue to engage in God's mission, and that really shapes a lot of the way Africans think about mission when they come to Europe or North America. Mm-hmm. They are still thinking, we are the evangelists, we are the Christians that God has called to engage in mission, but not just in a sense of some abstract place, but exactly where we are here is where God has placed us, and He has placed us for a purpose. Mm-hmm. When I go around African churches in England, I hear this a lot, that you are here for such a time as this. You are here, you are in this country, you are among these people for a purpose. God has planted you in this land so that you can reach out to the people. And that's, now, I think what I find interesting there is that the focus is almost entirely on mission, and the geography, the location is responding to that. You're not starting with the geography and then calling on mission. You're starting with mission, and then the geography supports that. So if you move from Liverpool to Birmingham, you are still on a mission. It's just a different location. And you continue the mission. You continue engaging in mission in a different location.
Gotcha.